Good morning, all of you. Today's topic is Pitot tube. So now we start about the Pitot tube. A Pitot tube, also known as Pitot Pro, is a flow measurement device used to measure the fluid flow velocity. In an experimentally view, basically a Pitot tube is used wind tunnel experiment and on airplanes to measure flow speed. It's slender tube that has two holes on it. The front hole is placed in the air stream to measure the what is called the stagnation pressure. So now we discuss about in following patterns: introduction, principle, construction and working, material for construction, advantage and disadvantage. We take First we take introduction. So Pitot tube is a device used to measure the fluid flow measurements invented by Henry Pitot, a French engineer in 18th century. It is widely to measure the airspeed of aircraft, speedboat, speed, and for fluid flow measurement in industrial application. Pitot tube measure the pressure point in a contact. Let us we discuss about principle. Pitot tube is a differential pressure measuring device. Pitot tube installed in a flow stream measures the direct pressure at the contact. Pitot tube holes and second measurement is required. Being of static pressure, the difference between two measurements give a value for dynamic pressure. The flow rate, like other device, is called from a square root extract for the pressure. In Pitot static tube, the flow Q is given by this equation, where K is constant, Ps is static pressure, and Pi is the impact pressure. So now we discuss about construction and working of Pitot tubes. Pitot tube meter consists of a tube pointing directly toward the flow. The fluid entered through the impact hole and there can one or two other holes in the Pitot tubes which are static pressure source. So the three figures are Pitot tubes, simple Pitot tube, static sources, Pitot tube, static tube. So for a simple Pitot tube shown figure first, we should arrange another pressure sensing element to measure the static pressure. The axis of tube measuring the static pressure should be perpendicular to the boundary and free from bars so that the boundary is smooth. Now the Pitot static tube that having the static pressure inlet shown figures below. So in this figure, the fluid flow take in inlet junction and outlet is impact pressure or static pressure. A Pitot tube is a simple round cylinder with one end open with a small hole and other end closed. So fluid flowing through the pipelines enter the Pitot tube and rest there. There is another chamber within a Pitot fluid with static pressure. A diaphragm separates both the chambers. The differential pressure is measured between both. The pressure gives the dynamic pressure. The difference is level between liquid in tube and front free surface becomes the measure of dynamic pressure. So flow rate like other device is calculated from the square root of pressure. In calculating the flow rate from the pressure, calculation is dependent on such factors as tube design and location of the static tube. Pitot static probes incorporate the static holes in the tube system to eliminate this parameter. Measuring the static pressure and the impact pressure are connected to the proper differential pressure meter for determination of fluid flow velocity and thus the flow rate. Now we talk about material for construction and range. Pitot tubes are generally supplied in stainless steel and and give the various dimension of Pitot tube, and some size are available on the specific request. Advantage and disadvantage of Pitot tubes. First advantage is small and do not contain any moving parts. Second, low cost. Third, low permanent pressure loss. Next is to install into existing system. Now disadvantage. Foreign material in a fluid can easily clog Pitot tube and disprint normal reading as a result. Low accuracy and low range ability. Thank you.